The Spaniards and Portuguese become rich on trade in the Indian Ocean and the New World. But elsewhere in Europe, greedy capitalists are hatching new schemes.
Well, if it is me old mate, John Hawkins.
Have a seat.
So this be coffee with sugar in it, eh? I've never tasted the likes of this before.
This here is no ordinary coffee, d'ye see. 'Tis Portuguese. Don't be thinking they've been a-trading for it, ha-ha. They're smarter than that by a long ways. They've set to the business of a-growing it themselves in America.
There'll be more silver taking that course, I'll wager. Bethink yourself of Portuguese. My man, 'tis sure our purses would be bulging.
Be not green about the gills with envy, matey. For sure they do collect the loot, but so can we. 'Tis for them a problem finding hands, for they work the natives there to death in their plantations.
Oh!
So now they be crying out for slaves, and I know where to lay my hands on them.
So this is John Hawkins, who was to change the face of Africa.
Get me 3 ships, fill them with hard-as-nails men and some rubbish to barter with. I swear by my bones you'll make a pretty profit on your investment. Blades that would break on butter. 10 knives and 10 yards of cloth for a slave. Fill the boats to the brim, my hearties, with strapping young slaves. Twere nothing to it, eh, boys? If this be so simple as it seems to be, methinks to take these slaves for free. We've counted 300 head now, so clap 'em in irons and let's away from this cursed place.
Portuguese ship to starboard!
'Tis a slave ship. Let's take her. She'll be worth her weight in gold.
They're dying like flies. I think we've taken too many aboard.
Ah, you're breaking my heart. Better too many than too few. I'll be glad to get rid of this stinking load. And do you know what we're gonna spend the money on? Skins, ginger, and sugar. And I wouldn't be surprised if we could afford another few ships.
And so they did. The plantation owners pay well for slaves. Back in London, John sells his load. The businessmen are thrilled with the profits John's made for them. He's become rich himself. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth knights him. Sir John Hawkins. the trade in human lives increases. Slave ships from England, France, Spain, Holland, Denmark, and Portugal sail down along the west coast of Africa. Black slave hunters are hired. The hunt also spreads to the mighty kingdom of the Congo.
Oh, King Alfonso, my children were playing. The slave hunters took them all away.
They took all the men from the fields this morning. Only I escaped.
There's no one left in my village. Help us, mighty king.
I'll see what I can do. I must get hold of the chiefs and merchants from the coast. I forbid you to deliver slaves to European ships.
Times have changed, O king. There's riches to be had by dealing with the whites.
See how fine we are? Gold, silver, and silk.
And now we have these guns from Europe that make us even more powerful.
Profits from the slave trade are used differently in Europe and Africa. The African merchants spend their profits on themselves. The European merchants invest their capital in production and get richer and richer and richer all the time.
If only I could make the Portuguese king understand how bad things are.
Dear Manuel, although we have forbidden it, your merchants spread weapons in our country. Many of the merchants no longer obey us, as they have more weapons than we. Daily your merchants capture our people, our sons and daughters. Such is the meanness of your merchants that the population of our country is decreasing rapidly. We beg of you, dear brother, to help us in this matter by forbidding your merchants to come here and sell weapons. It is our will that no trade with slaves must take place in this our land. Yours, Alfonso.
Dear Alfonso, I appreciate your concern. However, one cannot fight against the march of progress. And after all, let us not turn our backs on Mother Commerce. In any case, I owe the merchants much. In faith, I have no power to stop them. Yours, Manuel.
How can we stop the slave traders with our bows and spears? We can't. We must have guns, and we'll get them from the Europeans. Take this cloth and ivory to the coast and bring back guns.
How many guns for this?
None. We only do our trade in slaves.
How can we save our people if to save them we need guns, and to buy guns we are forced to sell our people?
We need bullets and we need guns to protect our daughters and sons who live in terror, fear, and sorrow. I turn my back and my child is not here. The white have taken it. We live in fear. The days are so bloody and the night so dark.
They wouldn't give us any guns. Now it's sell slaves or be sold as one yourself.
The years go by. Nobody listens to King Alfonso. He couldn't stop the profitable slave trade. King Alfonso dies, and the mighty kingdom of the Congo falls apart. All along the west coast of Africa, small trading ports that live off the slave trade grow. They lie there like leeches, sucking the blood of Africa. The merchants demand more and more people. 100 million people are directly affected by the slave trade. Terror strikes all of Africa. Black slave hunters steal blacks from neighboring tribes. Suspicion reigns. Nobody dares cultivate more land than what is absolutely necessary. Danger lurks in the fields. At any time, it may be necessary to flee. Clothes are no longer made, as one can buy them cheaply from Europe. In the wake of terror follows superstition and human sacrifice. The profitable business brings greater returns to Europe, while Africa gets syphilis, gin, guns, and Christianity.
Hello? Anybody here? Hello?
And who are you?
Sita, hello. Don't you know who I am?
You look like Mbeze's son, but he and his father were taken long ago by the slave hunters.
What is me? Asai. I got away, and now I've made it home again.
What happened to you over there?
Is it true that whites eat our people?
They might as well have.
They have eaten us. See, there's only us old folks left here. The slave hunters took all the young and strong. It's just us here, and we'll die soon anyway.
But what did they do after they caught you?
First, we were taken to the coast, where they forced us on a slave ship. We were packed in tight till there was no room to move. They chained us in pairs, the left foot of the one to the right of the other, and our hands were chained too. We were 4 months in getting there. They landed us on an island called Jamaica and sold us in a market in a port. A white man bought us all. A Portuguese who took us to his sugar plantation in Brazil. There we were made to work from daybreak to sunset. And white guards whipped us to keep us working.
But couldn't you run away?
Yes, but if we were caught, they put rings with iron spikes around our necks and our ankles. If anyone stole but a piece of bread, he'd be hanged. And any that rebelled were burned to death. The wise priest said we'll go to hell if we didn't work. But how could hell be worse than what we had?
But what's the name of the country?
America.
Just wait. One day all slaves will rise up.
The slave owners and their guards were afraid of us. They fear for their lives. Every night they sleep with guns at their sides. But they have more than guns to keep us down. The shirt you're wearing, isn't it from England?
I thought all shirts were...
It's woven and sewn in England. But our brothers and sisters died working in the cotton plantations. The white merchants make money off of us over and over again. Their trade goes round and round, and Europe gets rich and strong.
Cotton, sugar, and tobacco comes by ship from American plantations. It's sold in Europe, giving a handsome profit to the merchants. In Europe, they invest the profits in textile mills and hire labor at low wages. From the cotton, the workers weave cloth, and together with guns, it's loaded onto ships, setting sail for Africa. In West Africa, cotton and guns are bartered for slaves. Ships full of slaves head for America, and in America, the slaves are sold to the planters. The slaves are free labor for growing sugar, tobacco, and cotton. The money that the merchants get from selling slaves is spent on ships full of cotton, sugar, and tobacco, and they even have money left over. The English merchants especially get much help from their state. The English Navy is sent to America to fight all Danish, Spanish, Dutch, Portuguese, and French merchants. In the middle of the 18th century, they have conquered the entire trade between Europe and the other continents. And try and guess what that means for English capitalists.